Ladies and gentlemen, we have such a large crowd today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Welcome to the families and friends of all our graduates. We are delighted that you have joined us for this monumental occasion. The 2024 spring commencement will now begin with the student processional, followed by the platform party. The audience is requested to remain seated during the processional. Ladies and gentlemen, the chair of the faculty, Dr. Herla McGowan. The executive vice chancellor and provost, Dr. Warwick Arden. The deans of the colleges, members of the board of trustees, and honored guests. Will the audience please rise for the presentation of the colors by the NC State Combined Color Guard and our national anthem led by the State Chorale. Will the audience please be seated?
Good morning.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. W. Randolph Woodson, Chancellor of North Carolina State University.
I got a little excited. So good morning. Welcome to PNC Arena, to North Carolina State University's spring commencement exercises. Thank all of you for joining us today for a very special day. I would like to recognize the members of NC State's Board of Trustees, representatives from the UNC System Board of Governors, esteemed guests, members of the Platform Party. We are delighted to have you all with us today to celebrate this amazing and resilient class of 2024. NC State is proud to be the People's University, a significant force in North Carolina's economic vitality and dedicated to improving the lives of all North Carolinians through our teaching, our research, our extension and engagement, and our economic development activities. You know, our university system is nationally renowned thanks to the exceptional students that we recruit to NC State and other universities, to the amazing faculty and staff, and the critical funding our state leadership provides to the University of North Carolina system. I want to congratulate each and every one of our graduates today as we celebrate your many, many achievements and thank them for the role that you've all played in making NC State such an exciting and outstanding place to live, to learn, and yes, to work. And what you've been able to accomplish during your time at NC State, I don't need to remind a few of you that your undergraduate journey may have started a little rocky at NC State and in the country. But despite those many challenges you've faced throughout this time, your achievements are nothing short of extraordinary. You've worked through every obstacle, you've overcome every difficulty, and well, we have a lot of celebrating to do. You've been seated for a while, so let's get to it. So let's start and take a moment to hear from our Board of Trustees Chair, Ed Wisiger, Jr.
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson, and thank you to all the members of the Platform Party and our faculty and the family and friends of today's graduates. First, I'd like to introduce our Board of Trustees members who are with us today. So please stand as I call your name and introduce each of you. Marie Arcuri, Derek Close, Jim Harrell, Jim Holmes, Timothy Humphrey, Gazelle Johnston, Wendell Murphy, Perry Safran, Ed Stack, and of course the 2023-2024 Student Body President graduating with you today, Timothy Reed. Thank you all for being here today and also for on this special occasion and for the hard work that you do every day on behalf of our great university. To our graduates, I'd like to offer my sincerest congratulations. Today really is your day and the time that we get to celebrate you for your years here on campus. And to the friends and family that are with us today, I want to also say thank you as well. And to our incredible NC State faculty and staff, your work should indeed be honored today because we take student success quite seriously here at NC State as our top goal. And faculty and staff live this commitment every day to support our students as well. Thank you. We're excited to welcome all of you graduates to the vast community of WPAC alumni and encourage you to stay connected to this university as you begin the next stages of your lives. You're truly part of a great legacy and you make it greater. So congratulations again. We cannot wait to see where your next adventures will take you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Wisiger, and thank you to all of our Board of Trustees. We're grateful for your service. We're especially delighted to have with us today another individual who is truly committed to the value of higher education in North Carolina and beyond. To bring greetings from our Board of Governors, please welcome Governor Woody White.
Y'all look incredible. I hope you'll indulge me for just a second. Let me hear you. Go Wolfpack. Thank you. In the fall of 1951, John Steinbeck, Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist and one of America's greatest writers to ever live, sat ensconced in his newly renovated writing room, high above 72nd Street on Manhattan's Upper East Side. He was about to begin the very first page of what would later be considered his magnum opus, East of Eden. And he noted in his journal that day that he sat in a new and comfortable chair with sharpened pencils that awaited his hand resting on a perfectly angled desk, with inviting sheets of blank paper ready to soak up the words he was yet to write on them. Minutes passed and then hours. While he waited for the words to come, patiently, he noted in his personal journal, "Now that I have everything, we shall see whether I have anything." Eventually, the wheels of his mind began to turn over, the words appeared on the pages, and for 6 days a week, into the late summer of 1952, they never stopped. And John Steinbeck rediscovered the talent he thought he may have lost, leaving his readers enriched by the efforts he made in seeing himself through. I mentioned this short story to you all to illustrate, though you've accomplished so much by what you've done to get here today, you will have days in your own life. You'll sit at your desk, you'll question yourself, just as did this great American writer. You'll have it all, but you will feel like you have nothing. Life is about its daily accomplishments as much as it is about the milestones. And you, the class of 2024, have learned this lesson more than most classes that ever came before you. Adversity and uncertainty have forged you and shaped you in resilience. You faced unique challenges, and yet here you are on this beautiful Saturday morning, having earned your degree despite all of the obstacles life put in your way. The UNC system salutes your hard work. We applaud your success, and we look forward to the impact you will have in our society as well-educated and engaged citizens. I bring congratulations to you today on behalf of the UNC Board of Governors, Chairman Randy Ramsey, UNC System President Peter Hans. We are proud of you and what you have accomplished as students at one of the greatest public universities in the nation. We challenge you to embrace those days when you feel uncertain of which direction to step, knowing that what you've learned here from your experience at NC State University, the same drive, the same determination that brought you here today will see you through anything that life might bring your way. Haley Catherine White, congratulations, sweetheart. Congratulations and best wishes for the future. At this time, it is my privilege to present the 2024 Board of Governors Award for Excellence in Teaching to one of your most outstanding faculty members. This award was established by the Board of Governors in 1994 to underscore the importance of teaching and to reward great teachers across the university system. The awards are given annually to a tenured faculty member from each UNC campus. Each winner receives a bronze medallion and cash reward. Recipients are nominated by a special committee on their home campus and selected by the Board of Governors Committee on Personnel. This year's winner is Professor Paul Mulvey. Chancellor Woodson and Professor Mulvey, please join me. Dr. Paul Mulvey is a professor in the Department of Management, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship in the Poole College of Management and has been on North Carolina State faculty for nearly 29 years. As a part faculty scholar, he played a pivotal role in shaping the program selection system, great initiatives and mentorship programs contributing significantly to its growth and success. Paul spearheaded executive education seminars and secured several distinguished teaching accolades at both college and university level, including the NC State Outstanding Teacher Award, the Alumni Distinguished Undergraduate Professor Award, recognizing his outstanding commitment to management and education. Paul was honored as one of 2 inaugural Poole College of Management Teaching Faculty Fellows for a 2-year term. He's also the recipient of several distinguished research grants from notable institutions such as World at Work, TIAA-CREF, Simpson & Company, IBM, the list goes on and on. Paul's research extends beyond academia, involving collaborations with numerous organizations. His pioneering research on work team processes and employee compensation and employee recruitment has earned widespread recognition, featuring prominently in media outlets such as NPR's All Things Considered, and notably headlining a cover article in USA Today. Dr. Mulvey, congratulations.
At this time, I would like to make a special recognition to honor the NC State faculty members who this year received the Alexander Quarles Holiday Medal. Named for NC State's first president, the Holiday Medal is the highest award bestowed by the university in recognition of faculty career excellence. As I announce their names, their photographs of the recipients will be displayed on the screen. First is Thomas Berry from the School of Architecture in the College of Design. Dr. Linda Hanley Bowden, Department of Plant and Microbial Biology in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. And Dr. K.L. Murty, Department of Nuclear Engineering in the College of Engineering. And finally, Dr. Lori Williams, Department of Computer Science in the College of Engineering. Congratulations to these outstanding faculty for their career accomplishments. Next, the most prestigious academic honor that NC State confers is the honorary degree. The authority to award the honorary degree resides with our Board of Trustees and involves the faculty, trustees, and administration. So let me ask Chair Wisiger to join me at the podium. First, Dr. James Owens, would you please come forward? Dr. Hurla McGowan, Chair of the Faculty, will present the citation for our first honorary degree recipient.
Jim Owens is a business leader, philanthropist, and NC State alumnus. During his 38-year career with Caterpillar, Inc., which included a 6-year tenure as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Jim served on the Executive Committee of the Business Roundtable and was Chairman of the Business Council and advisor to Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama. Jim served on President Obama's Economic Recovery Advisory Board, as well as boards of IBM Corp., Morgan Stanley, and Alcoa Inc. He was chairman of the Executive Committee for the Peterson Institute for International Economics and served on the board of directors of the Council on Foreign Relations. He is also a former chair of the Board of Trustees for NC State and served on the Board of Trustees for the university's endowment fund. NC State awarded Jim the Menser Cup in 2017, the Watuga Medal in 2006, and the Poole College of Management's Outstanding Alumni of the Year Award in 1999. He supports endowments for numerous scholarships and fellowships, including the Nellie Maud Matthews Owens Scholarships, the Owens Graduate Fellowship Fund, the Owens Distinguished Professor of Supply Chain Management, the James W. Owens Caterpillar Faculty Fellowship, the James W. Owens Distinguished Chair in International Economics, and the Owen Shelton Distinguished Professor in Leadership with a Global Perspective. Owens is a native of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and graduated from NC State with a bachelor's and master's degrees in textile technology and a PhD in economics.
Dr. Owens, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Congratulations. I got this done. Yeah. It's not my first rodeo. Dr. McMillan, will you please come forward? Dr. McGowan, will you please present the citation for a second honorary degree recipient and today's commencement speaker?
David W.C. McMillan shares the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize in Chemistry with Benjamin List for the development of asymmetric orgocatalysis. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in July 2022. He received his undergraduate degree in chemistry at the University of Glasgow. In 1990, he began his doctoral studies at the University of California, Irvine, before taking a postdoctoral position at Harvard University in 1996. Dave began his independent career at the University of California, Berkeley in July of 1998, before moving to Caltech in 2000 as the Earl C. Anthony Chair of Organic Chemistry. In 2006, he moved to Princeton University as the A. Barton Hepburn Professor of Chemistry. He served as department chair from 2010 to 2015 and is currently the James S. McDonald Distinguished University Professor of Chemistry. His research interests encompass a wide range of organic chemistry, including the development of new areas in orgocatalysis and photoredox catalysis.
Dr. McMillan, by virtue of the authority vested in me by our Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Sciences, honoris causa. Congratulations. How'd we do that time? Dr. McMillan, you honor us with your presence today, and we're really excited and look forward to your remarks. Please, everyone, Sir David W.C. McMillan.
Good morning. Let me start off by saying, please, please, please don't call me Sir David. The only person in the world I insist call me Sir David is my older brother. All right. But I will start off by saying good morning to esteemed faculty, honored guests, mums and dads, and most importantly, the incredible 2024 graduates of NC State University. I am deeply honored to stand before you today as your commencement speaker. I want to express my sincere gratitude for this opportunity to the incredible Chancellor, Randy Woodson, Provost Arden, members of the Board of Trustees, and my dear friends, Professor Josh Pierce and Phil Castellano from the amazing chemistry department here at NC State. I would also like to congratulate my fellow honoree, Dr. Jim Owen. My name is David McMillan. I was born in Scotland in 1968. I grew up in a small working-class town just outside of Glasgow. My dad was a steel worker. My mom was a maid. I came to the States to do my PhD at UC Irvine in 1990. I'm now a professor at Princeton, and in 2021, I won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Please don't worry, there will be no chemistry in this speech. You're safe. But today, I'm here not just as a Nobel Prize winner, I'm here with you as a fellow graduate. I will begin by stating emphatically that this is a tremendous honor to receive a Doctorate of Science from this remarkable institution, and it's with great pride that I join the ranks of this amazing Wolfpack family. I don't know if I'm officially allowed to say I'm a member of the Wolfpack, but I don't really care because I think I'm a member of the Wolfpack. And besides, having watched those two unbelievable basketball teams in March, why not us? So having done that and then spent the whole day yesterday with Chancellor Randy Woodson, I now feel like I'm ready to run through a wall for NC State. Chancellor, what an amazing guy. I shouldn't say this, but I think Princeton, we're going to try and hire the guy. He's so incredible. All right. I have been asked as part this speech could take a lot longer than, anyway. I have been asked as part of this commencement speech to share some of my experiences and insights with you all. Now, many people ask me, what are the major lessons I have learned that helped me win a Nobel Prize? And quite honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea. But I thought I would tell you 3 lessons that in my life have been really invaluable to me. So lesson 1, it's great to learn from others, but always, always follow your own path. When I was a teenager back in Scotland, my older brother Ian decided to do a pretty remarkable thing. The remarkable thing he decided to do was to go to university. Now, that doesn't sound that remarkable, but no one in my family, no one in my high school, no one in my town that we had ever known of had ever gone to university before. And it was kind of controversial. My mom and dad thought he was just being lazy and trying to avoid going to the steelworks, and that was probably true, but he decided that he wanted to go anyway. He went to do physics, he got his degree in physics, and the day after he got his degree, he got a job and the salary paid more than what my father made after 30 years in the steelworks. At that moment, my mom and dad came to see me and said, "You're going to university." So the biggest moment in my career was not defined by me, it was defined by other people. Now, when I went to university, though, the formula was that I had to do physics, because that's what my brother did. And I got there, and I was terrible at physics. To be honest, I shouldn't say this, but I hated physics. And I had to go there. It was an 8 o'clock morning class. It was cold. In Scotland, it rains a lot, and the roof would leak, and you'd literally be getting rained on at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was really unhappy. I tried to leave university, but I was so bad at interviewing, I couldn't get a job. Now, by amazingly good fortune, as part of our curriculum, I had to take chemistry classes. And in my sophomore year, we were introduced to organic chemistry. And for the first time in my life, I experienced a lecture class that I would not describe as a class, but more of a revelation. I understood it, it made sense to me, I enjoyed it, and it really honestly became a passion for me. I had to take these 1-hour bus rides to and from university because I had to live at home. And when I would do that, I would read these organic chemistry groups and organic chemistry books, and it was incredible. It felt like I was learning to speak another language. And the way I always describe this, I almost felt like I was breathing new air. I quickly changed my major, and I loved every day of college till the day I graduated. Now, that same love for chemistry brought me to America, and it now takes me all over the world giving talks about chemistry. So chemistry is not only my career, it became my passport to the world. Now, the moral of this story is that my brother was the greatest role model I could have ever wished for. And if it wasn't for him, I would not be standing here today. But if I'd only tried to pursue his path of physics, I would have been miserable and I would have failed. So learn from others, but in the end, you always have to follow your own path and live your own life. Now, some of you sitting out there have probably found your own chemistry, and that's awesome. But some of you might still be trying to figure things out, and that might take some time, and you might have to try a lot of things, but that's awesome too. But it's important that you find your own chemistry, and trust me, when you do, you will know it, and it'll be fantastic. So lesson 2, don't let failure get you down. Failure is just another word for experience. Now, since winning the Nobel Prize, the biggest question everyone asks me all the time is, how do you deal with failure? How do you deal with failure? And I always think that's kind of a weird question to ask someone who just won the Nobel Prize. But I've come to realize that while everyone experiences failure, we all deal with it in different ways. Failure can be humbling, failure can be frustrating, failure can be painful, but in all cases, failure is just another way of gaining more experience in life. When asked this question about failure, I always like to tell the following story. When I was getting ready to graduate from Glasgow, I decided I really wanted to move to America. I loved America. People who live outside America love America. I was so obsessed with American sports. I'm a huge NFL fan. I loved American TV. I would watch Starsky and Hutch and Cheers. Graduates, ask your parents, they'll explain that later. So I decided I wanted to really get to America, and using my education, I wanted to do that. So this was back before there was email, because I'm old, and so what we had to do was save up for these airmail envelopes. And I got 5 of these, and I sent them to 5 professors in America, asking if I could come and do a PhD. After 2 months, I get no response. Saved up, got another 5 airmail envelopes, sent off to another 5 professors, nothing happened. Got to 15 airmail envelopes, nothing happened. 16, 17, 18, nothing happened. But when I sent the 19th, I got a letter back from an amazing guy at UC Irvine who sent me an application form. And I filled it out and sent it, and now here I am here today. Now, I like to tell this story because I realized, thank you. Now, I like to tell that story because I realized afterwards the only thing that got me through to the 19th letter was determination to get to America, even though it looked like all of my efforts were going to go to waste. And in life, this is really critical. You have to be thick-skinned at times because rejection and failure will happen, and it happens a lot. I have found people really don't like to talk about failure as it makes us somehow look weak or diminished, but it doesn't have to make you less, it can make you more. In my case, it taught me the value of staying positive, even when I thought my life dreams of coming to America were all but gone. And as a scientist, this lesson of staying positive when nothing is working has been the most valuable lesson of my life. So my second failure story is about the day I received the Nobel Prize. Now, I don't mean the day I found out, but in fact, the day I was presented with the Nobel medal. And I'm hoping we can show the first slide I have on a PowerPoint. Can you see that? Okay. All right, now, I hope you can see. Now, I love this picture because it's me receiving the Nobel medal and I'm surrounded by my family from America and Scotland, but that's not the reason why I'm showing you it. The reason why I'm showing you it is, I hope you can see this, but I'm wearing a kilt. And a kilt is the Scottish national costume. It's a skirt made of tartan, and I hope you can see it. And I'm a Scotsman, so I decided I really wanted to wear a kilt when I got the Nobel medal. But I didn't own a kilt. I'd never worn a kilt. So I went to a tailor, and they took my measurements. They sent my measurements back to Scotland. In Scotland, they made me a kilt, and they sent it over, and it arrived the day of the ceremony, which was great. But then I put the kilt on, and it was really, really tight. It was incredibly tight. I could hardly walk in the kilt, right? So I could hardly move. I could hardly move my legs. My wife called it a pencil kilt. All right. So I was up on this stage, and I had to shuffle over and get the medal, and then shuffle back and get my photographs taken. And then later that night, there was a gala, and there was lots of dancing, and I couldn't dance because my kilt was just too tight. So we get back to the hotel that evening, and I'm really annoyed, and I'm frustrated, and I'm telling all my friends this back at the hotel. And one of my friends, Christina Crammell, she sort of looked at me and looked down at the kilt, and she said, there's a thread right there. And she pulls this thread right out, and I realized it was a thread that had been put in for shipping to allow it to stay in shape when it came to America. And as soon as she took it out, the kilt went boom, like that. So I love this photograph, and I keep this photograph on my desk because, well, this should be my greatest moment of intellectual achievement. All I see is the world's biggest dumbass, right? So. Okay, lesson number 3. Try and laugh every single day. Life can be serious, but you don't have to take yourself too seriously. Surround yourself with people who are meaningful to you and that you love and enjoy being around. This means that you should cherish your loved ones and cherish your friends, and if they're really good friends, they'll do the same for you. For me, that is always about being around people who understand the joy of life. Chancellor Woodson has the joy of life. I mean, everyone knows that. And if you remember anything from this speech, just remember the following. Laughter amongst friends and family is without doubt the greatest source of wealth in life. This is absolutely true. And to prove this point, can we show the second slide? All right. So, okay, so this is where you think this commencement speech is really going off the rails, right? This guy is clearly an egomaniac. He's showing photographs of himself as a baby, you know. This is supposed to be about you, not about me. Okay, so why am I doing this? Well, the reason why I'm doing this is right after I won the Nobel Prize, people contacted me and says, can we have pictures of you as a baby? And I said, why? Why do you want pictures of my baby? They said, well, we want to put it on the Nobel Prize website. I said, that still doesn't make any sense. That's got nothing to do with my scientific achievements. They said, well, we want them. I was like, okay. So myself and my wife, we spent some time looking around my house, trying to find pictures of me as a child or a baby, and we couldn't find anything. So I contacted my sister back in Scotland. She sent us these 3, and they're now on the Nobel Prize website. However, I've started to realize recently, I think this is one of the greatest practical jokes that's ever been played. Do you see the one in black and white? I've come to realize that's not me. That's my sister. And my sister recently confessed to this, and And I think that's just absolutely wonderful. And people in your lives who will do these things, they just enrich it in so many different ways. So the 3 lessons are follow your own path, learn to stay positive through failure, and laugh every day. Now, graduates, I have told you a few of my life lessons, but I want to finish by pointing out that all of you have experienced lessons that I have not learned, and the rest of us sitting on this platform have not learned. So what do I mean by this? Well, you're part of the only 4-year college class in the history of this world who had to go out and earn a degree while overcoming a worldwide pandemic. Think about that. That is remarkable. I just want to say again, that is remarkable and a substantial achievement, and you should be proud of it, and you should never, ever forget it. As such, as you go forward in life, I ask you to remember all of these experiences, including the tough ones with COVID and the great ones as an NC State student, beginning with the tremendous worry and stress about your own health and that of loved ones, the loneliness and boredom of isolation, the frustration with Zoom calls, the need for resilience, the need for drive, determination, and the need to remain tough when it felt like the world was falling apart. And then from this, the sheer joy of returning to all the simple things we previously took for granted, the reconnection with friends and family and teachers in real-life places as the world opened up, and then the joy, success of accomplishment of learning and being part of this amazing NC State campus life, and now ultimately here today earning your degree. That has been the collective experience which makes you all an extraordinary, unique group. Now, I just realized this, a number of you, many of you, did not experience a high school graduation because of COVID, and so now you're here today. So at the end of today, I don't want you to celebrate twice as much, I want you to celebrate 5 times as much, okay? I want you to really, really go for it. So my call to action is this. Take these unique life lessons from these last 4 amazing years and use them to build your careers, your families, your friendships, your loves, and your lives, because you're more equipped to do so than any other class in history. Congratulations, Wolfpack Class of 2024. There is no generation of college graduates more ready to take on the world. Know that everyone here supports you and can't wait to see all the amazing things you'll accomplish. Go out there and make your mark on the world, and at the same time, make your loved ones proud. And also make your NC State family proud. Best wishes, good luck, and finally, go Pack.
Wow. I tried to buy kilts for everyone on the stage today, but no one bought into it. But thank you again, Dr. McMillan. What an amazing address and what amazing lessons. Now, let us pause to enjoy a special musical interlude from the State Chorale.
I can call my own.
Ladies and gentlemen, the NC State University Chorale, who leave tomorrow for Italy, where they will sing in the Vatican. Just one of the many opportunities you have when you come to NC State. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for quite some time, the conferring of degrees. To begin the conferral of degrees, please welcome Provost Warwick Arden.
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson. Good morning, folks, and welcome, graduates. We are so proud of you, and there are a lot of you. Do you know that this is the largest graduating class in the history of this university? Over 7,000 graduates this May, not all here in PNC, thank goodness, but we are so proud of everything that you've achieved. And to our friends and family who are with us today, thank you so much for coming out. I know you have given a lot of support, and we appreciate the support you give to these amazing young people. So thank you for being with us today. So we're going to start with the conferral of doctoral degrees, Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, and Doctor of Design. Please welcome Dr. Peter Harries, Dean of the Graduate School.
Congratulations, graduate students. It is a distinct honor to acknowledge both those master's and doctoral students graduating this spring. Those of you who, like our commencement speaker said, found their equivalent of chemistry and decided to pursue it. These students will receive their degrees spanning a broad range of disciplines, from advanced analytics to youth, family, and community sciences, and all the alphabet letters in between. Put simply, you have gained the academic and professional skills to be career ready. You have developed new knowledge and learned new tools, as well as skills from our dedicated faculty. As part of the land-grant ethos, you have translated that learning to address the critical challenge that we face. You've learned to really think and do, and we are incredibly excited to see the future impacts that you will have on North Carolina, the country, and the world. Will the marshals please conduct the doctoral candidates to the right of the stage? Chancellor Woodson, upon the recommendation of the Administrative Board of the Graduate School, I am delighted to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, and Doctor of Design. Dr. Ed Funkhauser from the Department of Communication, and Dr. Scott Despain from the Department of World Languages and Cultures will announce the candidates.
Sultan Ahmed. MST Sharmeen Akhtar. Gunai Gina Alivieva. Asia Atik. Divya Kumar Mahiman Badhika. Akshay G. Bharadwaj. Julia Brasileiro. Philip Alexander Bridges. Mariela Carbajal Carrasco. Ernesto Daniel Cardenas Vasquez. Matt Champagne. Ritvik Chattopadhyay. Hyun Jun Choi. Tiffany Dangleben. Azadeh Dashti Cole. Chaturi De Alwis. Ryan Dryfirst. Anuj Dubey. Cole Edwards. Wala Inab. Fahmid Morshed Fahid. Krishnan Karthik Gadiraju. Ge Go. Vabhav Garg. Christopher Gillespie. Boyu Guo. Masume Hagani. Marissa Cohen. Erica Carter. Heather Payant Finster. Muhammad Imdadul Hawk. Andrew Philip Hutchins. MD Mahofaz Islam. Stella Jackman Ryan. Mario Jackson. Nishita Jadu. Himi Zhang. Catherine Lee Johnson.
Bamjin Ju. Ghazal Kamiab. Diana Deepika Karanam. Kimia Karimi. Stephen Kimball. Kujing Lee. Kylie Lideker Goodman. Tess Liu. Changyuan Liu. Champang Liu. Varun Matatil. Khadija Mauba. Cameron Marashi. Devin Martin. April Dobbs. Emily McGovern. Daniela Miller. Mohammed Mohammed. Wisaso Muntali. Imani Alexandria Murph. Alexandra Sofia Nuno Gorbachev. Malcolm Keith Ogden. Falashwa Olatunde. Scott Paymont. Venkata Salya Papala. Hyunji Park. Jessica Parzignat. Piyush Patil. Thaddeus Paulsel. Magnus Pauli. Zach Petmeyer. Firdos Parviz. Emily Pierce. Harish Pulakandam. Elise Richardson.
Fausto Rodriguez Zapata. Safa Janajra. Kaushik Shaha. Rohan Sengupta. Manchi Shime. Sydney Shuping. Yang Song. Jessica Stevens. Oluforgahan Tunde Onadeli. SM Jamil Udine. Emily Van Zoost. Ramon Vera. Venkata Bhuvaneswari Vukam. Allison Waldman. Hong Yu Huang. Feng Huang. Ife Zhang. Bei Shi. Han Pyo Lee. Avery Roberts. Anna Dye. Bryce Abbott. Matthew Gore. Imran Ashik. Zishao Dan. Nelson Barrios. Metika Debnath. Johan Kai. Chun Lee. John Wayne Edwards. Ronald Christopher Estridge. Vahid Ramanian. Edgar Garcia Torres. Didem Kiriaman. Shao Ling.
Shubodip Majumder. Zaria McFadden. Isabella Gransbury White. Karuna Nambigori. Dasyan Cha. Paige Dobes. Dion Harry. Zainib Halnomani. Edward Chen. Cheng Kai Tai. Ejel Yilmaz. Monica Clark. Nicholas Bingham D'Antonio. Kelly Hammond Antonides. James Hogan. Christopher Pierce. Jeremy Reuben Jones. Sherelle Lawrence. Tiffany Marshall Polk. Jonathan Williams. Robert Lee Ivy. Andrew Waswa. Philip Andrew Lampron. Scott Lassiter. Annie Caroline Linker. Claudia Saavedra Smith. Jennifer Weissman Swartz. Boyang Chen. Jishnudeep Kar. And Aiken Yalvak.
Will all candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Education, and Doctor of Design degrees, please stand. Will the major professors sponsoring these candidates today please stand with them? Chancellor Woodson, upon the recommendation of the Administrative Board of the Graduate School and the graduate faculty, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that their appropriate degrees be conferred.
Upon the recommendation of Dean Harries, the Administrative Board of the Graduate School, and the graduate faculty of North Carolina State University, and by the authority vested in me by our trustees, I hereby confer upon you individually the doctoral degree with all the rights, responsibilities, and honors pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Will all graduates please be seated?
Thank you, Dean Harris. Next, we have the graduates from the College of Veterinary Medicine, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program, presented by Dean Kate Muros.
College of Veterinary Medicine graduates are united across their 4 values of community, inclusivity, passion, and innovation. Will the marshals please bring the candidates for the doctoral veterinary medicine to the right of the stage? Chancellor Woodson, based upon the recommendation of the faculty of the College of Veterinary Medicine, I have the honor to present the following candidates for the degree of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. Joseph Allender. Sarah Elizabeth Amblard. Ellen Bailey Bushyeager. Apologies. Kayla Bonady. Shalise Francis Brown. Matthew Holt Browning. Kayla Savannah Duarte Carras. Jamie Nicole Calcagno. Savannah Noel Dunn. Aswini Cherakuri. James Vincent Constantino. Abby Dallas. Emma Jacqueline Ferraro. Cassidy Ann Chapman. Rayna Lynn Eldridge. Hunter Ryan Everett. Frank John Folkowitz III. Jordan Patrick Garris. Claire Bublitz Giles. Ivy Samantha Gold. Gabriela Andrea Gonzalez. Megan Miller Gremling. Benjamin Monroe Herman. Kristen Carolyn Hernandez. Abigail Jordan Hockenberry. Kaylin Janae Hughes. Joanna Mialina Itri. Daniela Sophia Jaramillo. Ethan David Jones. Hannah Jones. Hannah Caitlin Jordan. Sabrina Lanier Cap. Abby Irene Kepley. Madison Jane Ketchy. Hannah Nicole Latham. Jacob Ryan Levine. Cassandra Faye Lilly. Jacob Clark Lisher. Claire Emma Ludwig. Simone McClooney. Juliana Rose McHouston. Brianna Kylie Meredith. Logan Taylor Moore. Victoria Lee Newberry. Jasmine Olivares. Rachel Lynn Osmers. Alexandra Jade Pascoe. Lawson Pate Pollard. Amy Ward Reason. Tony Gwen Richardson. Ashley Amber Rua. Erica Raymaker Erlandson. Congratulations. Alexis Diana Southern. Peyton Smith. Lily Smith. Brian Christopher Stallings. Riza Feliz Contreras. Emily Morgan Inkroth. Kendra Danielle Reed. Emily Amanda Edwards. Safari Sanise Richardson. Nia Powell. Natalia Rosa Padilla. Tori Denise Simmons. Emily Stephanie Tellez. Christina Zavala. Lydia Jomin Clegg. Dominique Stewart Moore. Sarah Swartout. Katie Jo Tyndall. Joshua T. Wagner. Grayson Craig Walker. Hannah Elaine Welpley. Christian Joy Williams. And Lawrence Alexander Willis. Will all the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine please stand? Chancellor Woodson, on behalf of the faculty of veterinary medicine, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that their degree be conferred.
I know what those gloves are for. I was a dean of agriculture. I've been on a farm or two. Well, upon the recommendation of Dean Muirs and the faculty of the College of Veterinary Medicine, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon each of you individually the Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree, with all the rights, honors, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Will the graduates please be seated? Thank you.
Please. Dean Harries will present the candidates for master's degree.
Will the candidates for all master's degrees, including the professional master's degree, the Master of Arts degree, the Master of Education degree, the Master of Fine Arts degree, and the Master of Science degree, please stand as I mention your college and remain standing. College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. College of Design. College of Education. College of Engineering. College of Humanities and Social Sciences. Poole College of Management. College of Natural Resources. College of Sciences. Wilson College of Textiles. And the College of Veterinary Medicine. Chancellor Woodson, upon the recommendation of the Administrative Board of the Graduate School and the graduate faculty, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that their appropriate degrees be conferred.
Upon the recommendation of Dean Harries, the Administrative Board of the Graduate School and the graduate faculty of North Carolina State University, and by the authority vested in me by our Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you individually the master's degree with all the rights, responsibilities, and honors pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Congratulations again, and will the graduates please be seated?
Provost Arden will recognize several groups of special undergraduate students here with us today, although you're all special.
Thank you, Chancellor Woodson. I'd like to recognize the undergraduate students who are graduating with academic honors. These students are identified by the color sashes that they are wearing. I'll first ask those designated with a gold sash graduating summa cum laude with a grade point average of 3.75 and above to stand and remain standing. Will those students wearing a silver sash graduating magna cum laude with a grade point average of 3.5 to 3.74 please stand and remain standing? And all those designated with the white sash graduating cum laude with a grade point average of 3.25 to 3.49, please stand. Congratulations on your accomplishments. Please be seated. I'd now like to ask those students who have successfully undertaken and completed special demands of University Scholars Program, University Honors Program, the Goodnight Scholars Program, the Park Scholars Program, and the Caldwell Fellows, or College and Departmental Honors Programs. Please stand and be recognized at this time. Congratulations. Please be seated. I'm now going to have the deans present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from their respective colleges. Once all of the colleges have been introduced, Chancellor Woodson will confer their degrees. First, Dean Frank Buckles will present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the Poole College of Management.
Would the candidates for the baccalaureate degree in the Poole College of Management please stand? Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty, I present these candidates who have engaged with our faculty, academic, and industry partners to develop their analytical problem-solving and entrepreneurial approach to address the challenges and opportunities presented and are now prepared to make our world a better place to live and work. We welcome them as the newest members of our great Wolfpack community that celebrates excellence, innovation, inclusion, and ethical decision-making in all we do. We proudly present these candidates who fulfill the degree requirements and recommend the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Buckles. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Deanna Daniels will present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Humanities and Social Sciences.
Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences please stand? On behalf of the faculty of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, where we invite all NC State students, not just our own majors, to gain habits of heart and mind that build just communities of care, kindness, and empathy, I present today our candidates who, through their fierce inquiry into the human experience, boldly shape conversations day after day, week after week, year after year. Mark my words, these students are change agents that build a better future for each and every one of us. Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Daniels. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Myron Floyd will present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Provost Arden. Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees in the College of Natural Resources please stand? On behalf of the faculty and staff of the College of Natural Resources, I proudly present these extraordinary graduates who leave equipped to build a world in which everyone is welcomed and empowered to explore, protect, and enjoy the full diversity of our environment and communities, while building justice and sustainability for all. These graduates will steward our nation's forests, parks, wildlife, and water. They will manage spaces for recreation and sport, sustainably engineer paper and other biomaterials, and will go on to ensure that the natural world around us continues to thrive for generations to come. Provost Arden, they have fulfilled the degree requirements of our college, and I recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Floyd. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Mark Hoverson will now present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Design.
Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees of the College of Design please stand? Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Design, I present these graduates with great optimism for what they will accomplish. They will shape our cities, protect and restore our environment, develop products and processes that improve our lives, and tell moving stories through film, animation, games, and visual documentation. Their design thinking will help us understand the challenges we face, generate options to solve them, and thus to design our future. I therefore present them and recommend that the degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Hoverson. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean David Hinks will now present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the Wilson College of Textiles.
Thank you, Provost. Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees in the Wilson College of Textiles please stand? Provost Arden, on behalf of the proud faculty of the Wilson College of Textiles, as we celebrate 125 years of textiles at NC State this year, I present these candidates who will epitomize what it means to be a member of the Wilson for Life family. They will design, develop, and market the next generation of advanced fibers and textiles to ensure our first responders and our military are ever safer in fire and under fire. They will develop innovative and sustainable clothing for a circular economy. They will take action to deconstruct inequities where they find them and build communities where all are welcome. They will develop the next generation of filters that protect the most basic of human needs by purifying the air we all breathe and the water we all drink. And the next generation of medical textile products like synthetic aortas that extend our lives. Yes, artificial aortas are textiles. I am confident that they will show their Wilson for Life spirit by giving support to fellow alumni and the students that will follow them. These outstanding candidates have fulfilled the degree requirements, and I'm so proud to recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Green Dean. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Gary Fox will present the candidates for the associate and baccalaureate degrees from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences.
Good morning. Thank you, Provost. Will the candidates for the associate and baccalaureate degrees in the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences please stand? Graduates of the College of Ag and Life Sciences are at the heart of our land-grant mission at NC State University, ready to emerge equipped to advance the forefronts of agriculture and the life sciences, which stands as the premier industry in North Carolina, boasting a substantial $103.2 billion in economic impact. Armed with the ethos of think and do, College of Agriculture and Life Sciences graduates are poised to tackle society's most pressing challenges. Together, they will help us carve out a future in agriculture and the life sciences that is both prosperous and sustainable. Graduates, you've reached an amazing milestone today in terms of graduating from our esteemed and the best College of Agriculture and Life Sciences in the nation and NC State University. But remember that you will forever remain an integral part of our college and the Wolfpack family. Provost Arden, on behalf of the amazing faculty of the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Fox. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Lewis Owen will now present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Sciences.
Thank you, Provost. Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees in the College of Sciences please stand? On behalf of the faculty of the College of Sciences, I congratulate you on completing your degrees. We are all very proud of you. Your achievements are truly commendable. Throughout your studies, you've been immersed in one of the most dynamic periods in human history. The realm of science is undergoing remarkable expansion, marked by breakthroughs in analytical and computational methods, monumental data proliferation, and the evolution of artificial intelligence and quantum science. Yet amidst this era of advancement, we confront huge challenges. Climate and environmental shifts, public health crises, and security threats loom large on our collective horizon. In this swiftly evolving landscape, we turn to you. Aimed with your passion and expertise in the sciences, we trust you will tackle these formidable challenges head-on, forging a path towards a sustainable future driven by data and innovation. I would like to thank you now in advance. Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Sciences, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Owen.
Thank you.
Will the candidates please be seated? Dean Paula Stein will present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Education.
Will the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees in the College of Education please stand? I proudly present to you these candidates who will be extraordinary educators. They will join a network of NC State alumni working in all 115 public school systems across North Carolina and beyond. Because they chose education, they will impact communities and shape our future. None of us would be where we are today without teachers and educators. So to our guests, if you have ever been impacted by an educator or a teacher, I invite you to help me recognize all of those who have answered the call and chosen education as their profession with a round of applause and a big fear. Thank you. Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Education, I proudly present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Stein. Will the graduates please be seated? Dean Jim Fetner will now present the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees from the College of Engineering.
Love it. Will the candidates for baccalaureate degrees in the College of Engineering please stand? Provost Arden, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Engineering, I present these candidates who stand ready to redefine the boundaries of innovation and technology. These engineers have not only mastered complex theories, but have applied their knowledge to solve real-world challenges. They have spent countless hours in labs and classrooms turning ideas into tangible solutions. They will lead the way in engineering solutions to society's greatest challenges: advancing manufacturing, computing, resilient infrastructure, medical technologies, and much, much more. Their commitment to ethical engineering practices will guide them in their work towards a more fair and just society as they steward our planet's resources. They have shown exceptional skill in teamwork, leadership, and problem solving, essential qualities that define outstanding engineers. These candidates have fulfilled the degree requirements, and I am proud to recommend that the appropriate degrees be conferred.
Thank you, Dean Fetner. Will the candidates please be seated? Now, will the deans of all of the colleges and all the faculty please stand for the conferring of degrees? Will members of the Board of Trustees please join the deans and faculty in standing? And will all candidates for the associate and baccalaureate degrees from North Carolina University please stand? Chancellor Woodson, as the Provost and Chief Academic Officer, I present these candidates who have fulfilled the degree requirements and recommend the appropriate degrees be conferred.
You look great. As your Chancellor, I am so proud of all that you've accomplished and all the challenges you've met head on at NC State. We're so excited about what you do as you leave this university and go out into this great big world. Be proud of your NC State heritage. Come back occasionally, often. As you venture out in the world, we look forward to you staying connected to NC State. And upon the recommendation of the provost and the deans, the NC State tremendous faculty, and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon each of you individually the degree of bachelor's degree, with all the rights, responsibilities, and honors pertaining thereto. Congratulations. Please be seated. They're so excited. The final group of students I would like to recognize today are our newest commissioned officers in the United States military. Would you please stand? These young people made the additional commitment during their time at NC State to further develop the character, the skills, and the leadership attributes necessary to earn the privilege to serve our nation as Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and Air Force officers. So let's give these officers and all of our veteran graduates and all of their family and friends that have served in the military a round of applause. You may be seated. And now that we have officially conferred degrees, let's take a look for a few more facts and figures about this graduating class. Well, those numbers are incredible. And what a large and truly diverse and impactful group you represent. So let's hear from one of our exceptional graduates now. You know, each semester, the Commencement Advisory Committee scours the university from one end to the other, looking for that one person. I'm not putting any pressure on you, Ben, but that one person to represent the graduating class, to deliver a message on behalf of this graduating class. And I'm excited today to bring to you from our Cool Pool School. All right, it's not that funny. The Poole College of Management graduate, Benjamin Poovey. Benjamin Poovey transferred to NC State from UNC Charlotte in the fall of 2021. At NC State, Ben participated in several student organizations, including the Business Analytics Honors Program and the university's first International Consulting Club team. In addition to clubs and organizations related to his major, Ben also performed as a member of the NC State Power Sound of the South Marching Band Wind Ensemble. He plays the trombone. Pretty good. Jazz orchestra and several chamber ensembles with performances in places including the Royal College of Music in London, the Cardiff Castle in Wales, and the Midwest Clinic in Chicago, Illinois. Ben has served as a section leader, music educator, and performer. Ben is graduating with a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in finance. And after graduation, Ben will begin his graduate studies right here at NC State in the world-famous NC State Institute for Advanced Analytics, pursuing a master's degree in analytics. He hopes to pursue a career in data science and improve his community right here in Cary, or otherwise known as the confinement area for relocated Yankees. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Benjamin Poovey.
Good morning, everyone. Before I get started, I'd like to go ahead and take a quick selfie, so Wolfie's up. All right. Thank you for the introduction, Chancellor Woodson. Welcome, friends, family, esteemed faculty, honored guests, and most importantly, the extraordinary graduating class of North Carolina State University to our spring 2024 commencement ceremony. Today, we gather not only to honor your enormous achievements, but to celebrate our extraordinary triumphs over adversity. For many of us, this is our first real graduation since 2016. That year, many of us were in 8th grade. Leonardo DiCaprio won his first Oscar. Pokemon Go was just released. And the iPhone 7 was the latest and greatest from Apple. This graduation has been 8 whole years in the making. And we all know it was not easy to get here. Just 4 years ago, things looked very differently for most of us. Spending our days on Zoom, double checking to make sure that our microphones were muted or our cameras were off, and wanting more for ourselves. To echo the words of the great Jimmy V, it's about going from where you are to where you want to be. It's about having a dream and a goal and a certain enthusiasm for life to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal, persevering through any and all challenges you might face. For me, my dream was to graduate from NC State. In high school, I did not know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be or even where I wanted to go to college. And with the onset of the pandemic in March of 2020, I received my final decision letter from NC State. I had been rejected. The good news was, as stubborn as I am, I had finally decided where I wanted to go to college. I began my college journey at UNC Charlotte from my bedroom in Cary, North Carolina, a tantalizing 20-minute drive from NC State, 15 if you drive like me. Immediately following my first class at UNC Charlotte, I dug through my desk, I collected a piece of paper, a red, and a black Sharpie, and I created the following sign to motivate me and achieve my ultimate goal of attending NC State. Although I could not be certain of where I would be in 4 years, I was certain of where I wanted to be. I wanted to be part of the Wolfpack. I wanted to study among the best and the brightest. I wanted to walk to class with friends. I wanted to beat our rivals 3 years in a row in football. Yeah. And who knows, maybe even win our first men's basketball ACC championship since 1987 and make both a men's and women's Final Four appearance. Why not us, am I right? And in the spring of 2021, my dream came true. I was accepted as a transfer at NC State for the fall semester. As an incoming transfer student at NC State, I was terrified. I felt that I was a year behind. I felt like I wouldn't know anyone, wouldn't fit in. I mean, for the past year, I was hidden behind a screen from my peers. What I didn't realize, however, is that everyone felt behind. We all had this sort of imposter syndrome coming into our first real year of college, asking ourselves, am I in the right major? Am I going to get a job? Am I being a good friend, or good roommate, teacher? These are all questions I know I frequently ask myself during my time at NC State. But time and time again, I was reminded by my peers that regardless of where you are now, whether you're going to go work as an engineer, a teacher, a biologist, or social worker, or returning to higher education, or none of those things, one thing is for certain. Where you begin does not determine who you are. We are determined by what we want and who we want to be. As I look out into the crowd today, I see thousands of bright, determined, and enthusiastic students, each one of us with a unique story, a narrative woven with highs and lows, successes and setbacks. Our paths to this moment are as diverse as the dreams that fuel our aspirations. And in this diversity lies the strength of our Wolfpack. As we embark on the next phase of our lives, let us carry with us the understanding that our beginnings, no matter how humble or challenging, are not definitive of our capabilities. We are not constrained by the circumstances of our starting point. Rather, we are defined by the choices we make, the perseverance we exhibit, and the resilience we display in the face of adversity. Now, before you walk out of this room today, remind yourself of three things: where you started, where you are now, and where you want to be. Take a mental piece of paper, a Sharpie, and make a sign to remind yourself of this goal, and work for it. Remember, after you think, all there's left is to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Well done. I'd like to thank, I'd like the graduating class of 2024 to join me in recognizing a couple of very special groups that are with us today. First, I want you to acknowledge the Golden Grad Forever Club, seated in section 206. Members of the Forever Club are all NC State alumni who graduated from this great university at least 50 years ago. And yes, they still love this university, and you will too. So please join me in congratulating the Forever Club. And next, this is really a big one. Would all of the family and friends and relatives that have come here today to support these graduates, please stand. I know that many of you have been waiting to do that for a while. Would the graduates join me in thanking all of these people that have surrounded you with love, support, financial assistance, and whatever it takes to get you up in the morning and out of bed and on with your life, thank your parents, family, and friends. You may all be seated. The turning of the tassel is symbolic of turning another page in one's life, and I would like to ask our student speaker to come to the podium and lead the traditional turning of the tassel. Let me again ask Ben to join us, and also to ask Ryan Hester, the president of our Alumni Association Board of Directors, to come forward. And will all of our candidates for associate and baccalaureate degrees please stand as Ben leads you through the traditional turning of the tassel.
It is indeed an honor to lead my fellow graduates of the class of 2024 in the turning of the tassel.
You may all now be seated. Congratulations, your day has arrived. On behalf of the NC State Alumni Association and more than 300,000 living NC State alumni, it is my happy and humble privilege to welcome the class of 2024 into the Wolfpack alumni family. As you move forward, I encourage you to visit and to volunteer your time and experience to the next generation of Wolfpack Nation. Please seek out university programs and operations where you are most passionate and can make a measurable impact. Take any opportunity to howl back at your alma mater, sharing your on-campus experiences, professional learnings, and leadership experience with our ambitious and curious NC State students. Please utilize the NC State Alumni Association as the conduit for your continued connection to our great university and its exceptional student body. For those of you wearing the official NC State class ring, please ensure you have turned your ring so the block S is facing outward. This time-honored tradition symbolizes your graduation and is a mark of your truly outstanding achievement. Now join me in giving the class of 2024 a congratulatory round of applause. We wish you all the best in your career. We wish you all the very best in your careers and are excited to keep you connected to and active within NC State University. Congratulations, and go Wolfpack.
What a great morning it's been. And a long one too, you might think. Following the singing of our alma mater, the recessional will begin, and please remain in your seats until the platform party, the faculty, and our doctoral candidates have completed the recessional. I sincerely want to thank each of you for being a part of this today, and I want to congratulate again this magnificent class. We wouldn't be here today without your hard work, your dedication, and your perseverance, and I'm confident, very confident, that your future and our future is very bright because of you. It's a time to take your knowledge and creativity and compassion and, yes, think and do attitude out into the world, and I'm so proud and happy for all of you. Congratulations. I invite all of you to join the chorale in singing the alma mater. Please stand, oh yeah, and go Pack.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate you all.